Hey Paul, welcome to Finland.
Thank you.
What is it in Anton that he's able to take his game to the next level whenever somebody goes down? He's done it before,
Yep.
and now he did it again when Barkov went down. Produce-wise.
Right. And I think that this year is even slightly different than last year because it's another level for him. At first, we forget sometimes that he's just a young man. He's just turned 23 years old, but he's got at least 60 playoff games already. I think the playoff experience over the last, for him, 3 years really helped him elevate his game. But maybe most importantly, you can't explain playoff hockey to a player who hasn't been through it. And because we had long runs, now he understands the style of game that's played in playoffs, and then that's all we're trying to do every night is play a playoff-style hockey game. So that experience was huge for him. He's got incredible mentors here. Having Barkov as the man that you learn from, never ever cheats the game, always on the right side of the puck, very competitive, very, very skilled. So he gets to watch that every day. And I think there's something more. I think there's a really natural-born, strong leader in Anton Lander. He's a quiet man, but he's very focused and very driven as well. So when the year before we got here, and I had nothing to do with Anton Lander becoming a great player. That's all him. But he was a healthy scratch in the playoffs, so he had some things he had to learn. I would say into February of the next year, that's when he really started to take off. 2 years ago in the playoffs, when we won the Eastern Conference, when we would get up on teams and we would have the lead, they would match their best line against Anton. And at that time, Sam Reinhart was playing with him, and Luosterainen, Eetu was playing with him. And we liked that. So I wasn't trying to get away from it. They thought, hey, we can get our first line out against their third line. It was really, really good for us because I had left and right-handed centermen. They're very strong defensively. All three of those guys kill penalties, so they can shut a game down if they have to. That's where we started to see the real value of this young man to our team because and now the offense is starting to come. I think we always thought it was there. We just really weren't worried when it would come. It didn't matter to us because the defensive part of the game, he's been killing penalties for 2 or 3 years. He's been good.
Left side, second row.
Coach is Tomas Nosek in.
Correct.
Looking at that, you had to wait kind of almost a full month here, but seeing maybe the full lineup, I know we're still missing Gadjevich, but as close to the full lineup as you've seen this season, just the excitement level for kind of seeing things finally on the ice here.
Really excited. First, probably to credit guys like Uvis Balinskis, who came up and played forward as a defenseman for us, and we played short some nights. Those guys did a heck of a job. But the idea originally was Greer, Nosek, and Boquist we've seen that line. They played very well against us as a group in Boston. I'm looking forward to it. Veteran guy, really strong on faceoffs, and that changes the way that I can run the bench then. I don't have to, Patty Giles has never played center. He's a right-hand shot. Faceoffs weren't going his way, and nor they should be your first time as a centerman. So you couldn't put them out in the defensive zone even if you needed them to go for rest reasons. You come off a power play, whatever. Now we've got a guy that can go out. He's done it for a living, and it makes my job easier behind the bench.
Right side, fourth row.
Paul Maurice, you have a long season behind you, winning the Stanley Cup, and expectedly a long season ahead of you with 4 nations on top. Are these matches extra burden or a much-needed break from the normal routine?
So every team has its challenges every year, whether you don't make the playoffs or you have back-to-back long runs like we had. So we have a set of challenges there. And I think what it is, so I believe that we're 5-0-1 maybe against playoff teams, and I think we're 4-0 against teams that we've played in the playoffs. So when we get wired, and that's even with Barkov out of our lineup, when we get wired, when the emotion's there, we're a pretty good team. But we got our butts kicked by teams that didn't make the playoffs, so we just couldn't find that. That's our challenge this year. Can we find the emotion on the nights that it doesn't come easily to us? These events, for me, help find that emotion. You need to have your team very bonded and connected to find the collective emotion. They got to go out together. Not everybody's going to feel good on any night, and they have to be wired together. The best way I can describe it to you is if you walk by an NHL locker room in the morning skate, there'll be 2 or 3 guys in the corner laughing and 2 or 3 guys over here. And then if you walk by ours, there's 20 guys laughing, right? They're all together. They've had dinner together every night, and they're telling jokes and telling stories. So that's where we feel we will have an opportunity to increase our emotional resilience, get them bonded together. So we love being here for that reason alone.
Left side, third row.
Hello, Coach. One question regarding Finnish player production, if you don't mind. As you know, the number of Finnish first-round picks has dropped dramatically during the last 5-6 years or so. What's the problem with the Finnish production?
Nothing. So the last time I was here, I was answering questions about all the number of awesome first-round picks by the Finns. It's just a cycle, right? So we had taken Patrick Laine second overall. Jesse Puljujärvi went third overall, and there were these great Finnish. Aho was coming into the league. Barkov was the star. That the conversation I had the last time here was that Finland only used to produce workers and never produce stars, and now they're producing all these stars. And we come back 5 years, 6 years later. There's nothing wrong with the Finnish program. It's just a cycle of athletes. They'll get rolling together. They'll produce a bunch of first-round picks. I find, this is going to piss a lot of people off. I find Finnish players to be very professional and very complete at a very young age. They come over, they know how to work. Like their work ethic, they play a hard game. They're not afraid of the corners. They compete. So I find that I would have, if you had asked me the state of the Finnish hockey program with having no idea what it is, I've spent no time studying it, I'd say it's fantastic. They're producing some great players. I got 4 of them, right? And Tuomo Ruutu on my staff. He was a hard man. He was a tough player. I liked him. I think he might be the only player I've ever seen. You don't have to hit everybody all the time. But I had that conversation with him a bunch of times.
We'll take 2 more. Left side, front row.
Paul, obviously you've coached a long time, and I'm curious if you can tell me your opinion of the position of goaltending. And I know you're not a goaltending coach.
I know nothing about goaltending.
But the technical ability of them, like 30 years ago, the guy who couldn't skate played goal.
Yeah.
Today they might be the best skaters on the team, and I'm just curious if you can speak to how that transition has happened and what you've seen.
These names may or may not mean anything to you, but I was in Carolina. We had Trevor Kidd, who played goal for us, and he was huge. And we traded for Kirk McLean, who was wearing the old school pads. It was unbelievable, the difference of men. And I go over to the trainer and say, you got to get that guy's equipment. It's changed so dramatically. And some of these men are so big and so fast and so gifted. It is truly its own unique position. They're absolutely part of the team. The reason that I say I don't know anything about goaltending is because it's true. I've been in the league a long time. I can't figure out why you would play goal. Makes no sense to me. Or how you do it. Now, I read body language, reactions to success and failures, the moods and the emotion. But you have to have a full-time ex-goaltender for me, and I think he has to have played in the NHL to be able to communicate properly with these guys. Sergei Bobrovsky's routine alone, well, I was here about a week and we had a game and I'm heading home from the pregame skate and he's Olympic lifting in the hallway before he plays. All I do is I just kind of stay. I say, Sergei, how are you this morning? Good to see you. I hope you're feeling well. How's the family? And that's it. That's my entire interaction with our goalies.
Last one, back left.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned Anton Lander growing into a natural leader. Could you describe what that means? What kind of a leader he has become?
There has to be a certain consistency in your game to be a leader, and I also think the best leaders are relatable to other players in the room. And there are some stars in our league that nobody can play that game. So it's more difficult. That's the great part about Sasha Barkov. Because he plays on both sides of the puck. He does great things with the puck, but he blocks shots, he finishes checks. He back checks hard. He plays hard. He's under pucks in our end of the ice. He does all the hard things that not all stars do. Then he can talk to our fourth line center about the game. And he can talk to everybody on the bench about the game. So if Sasha Barkov comes over to me and says, hey, you just got to pass the puck like this, I'm going to go, I got no chance of passing the puck like that. I will never shoot the puck the way you do. But great leaders then can make the connection. Anton has a game that he can be proud of, and it's consistent. So night after night, maybe that's the most important, but a leader is somebody that you would want to follow. There's a really good chance that if we follow him, we're going to have success. That's why everybody will follow Barkov. And Lundell is developing into that kind of leader. He's so consistent with his game now, more so obviously 2 years ago as all young players grow. But his game is getting very, very sure that you're going to see Anton Lundell play. And if you're buying tickets to a hockey game, you want the best players to play their best game when you've bought a ticket for that game. You want to show up and see their best. And that's, I think, what great leadership is always based on consistency first.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Okay, guys.